Hello everyone and welcome to the Reddit Railway. My name is Victor and I'll be your driver. Today's destination is r/entitled people, which happens to be an update to this story. If you haven't seen it, go watch it now. Otherwise, all aboard! Now, you all know from my last post that my mother tried to act like she's in charge of my life and also acted like my house was hers to give away. Well, that ended very badly for her and my spoiled sister because I threatened to expose them, and that whole incident inspired me to get cameras for my house, inside and out. My dad was old school. He didn't care for cameras at home. Hell, he didn't even care for TV save for the occasional movie. He mostly enjoyed his scotch with a cigarette and a good book, but now I own his house and cameras were a badly needed upgrade. And just in case, my girlfriend and I didn't tell anyone outside of our close circle of friends about them, and those that do know were sworn to secrecy and kept their word. A couple of weeks had gone by without any word from my mother or sister other than what I was seeing on my sister's social media. She was constantly complaining about having to live in our mother's basement, and I'm pretty sure she was making our mother miserable for it, but what came next surprised me. I got a frantic call from my sister saying that her boyfriend was questioning whether or not he was the father, and he was threatening to leave without a paternity test. My sister swore up and down to me that she's always been faithful to him. I'll admit, I believe there was a chance she could have been lying. Our mother's own past affair made our father question our paternity as well, so I suggested they get the DNA test, but my sister just babbled about how they don't have a lot of money. I offered to pay for it so long as she didn't come to me asking for money or favors often. She quickly agreed. I arranged for the test and even shelled out extra to make sure we got the test results ASAP, but it would still take a few days. I hadn't yet met my sister's boyfriend, but when I did, I started to understand a bit more. He's half Hispanic and my mother is quite the closet racist, something she got from my grandparents sadly. I decided to try and talk to the guy and took him out for a beer, and while at the pub he spilled his guts to me. He said that my mother had been whispering in his ear about how my sister is just like her and she'd cheated before, so my sister might have as well. This made him have doubts that grew every day, and he said he wasn't sure my sister didn't cheat or get pregnant on purpose to try and baby trap him. He also thought this could have been a ploy so she didn't have to work any more than she already does with her online sales job. Sadly, I knew he was probably right about that one. He's also described her as a completely different person when she's not around our mother, but ever since they've been living in Mum's basement, she's become more and more like a child. After what I saw at my house, I wholeheartedly believed him, so I asked if he suggested she get therapy. He admitted he's wanted to but didn't have the money and had been walking on eggshells around her and our mother for a while, so he never talked about it. Well, I guess that made some brotherly instincts I didn't know I still had kick in. I started to realize if I was going to have a niece or nephew, I couldn't let them live with or be raised by my mother, so I did the only thing I could. I told him that if the DNA test results came back positive, I'd offer him a job and training at the company I now own. He very quickly agreed because he doesn't want to live with my mother anymore than he already has to. Well, the DNA test results soon arrived in the mail, but my sister called me saying they weren't there. I asked who got the mail from the P.O. box, and she answered it was our mother. That pretty much confirmed my theory she was trying to force out my sister's boyfriend, and since I don't trust my mother, I preemptively got the clinic to send a copy of the DNA test results to my address as well. With my sister's consent, my copy came in the mail that same day. I called my mother and asked if she'd taken the DNA test results. The following conversation is more or less what I recall since it wasn't recorded. Hello, Mum. I heard that Sis's DNA test didn't come in the mail today. Oh, yes, but it could be here soon. Did you take it? I know it arrived today as I paid to have it sent as priority mail. What? How dare you accuse me of such a thing? I would never! Okay then, I guess I'll just bring over the backup copy that was sent to me. Backup copy? Yeah, I had one sent to me as well since I paid for it. Sis gave her okay and everything. I've got it right here. I guess I'll just give her a call then and we'll meet up. Wait, that's not Click. I hung up the phone and called my sister right away. I picked up my sister and her boyfriend from my mother's house and drove them to a local diner. They opened the envelope together. Sure enough, the test results were positive. My sister's boyfriend was so happy that he actually asked if she wanted to marry him, and she said yes like half a dozen times. The little vindictive part of me was just waiting to see my mother's face when she got the news, but what happened next honestly shocked me. When I took my sister back home, her and her boyfriend's stuff was in the process of being put out onto the lawn by a few men we don't recognize. My sister froze with a look on her face I'd never seen before. Our mother came huffing outside in a rage while holding the DNA test results she claimed never arrived and began verbally tearing into my sister. How How could you make a baby with that racial slur? I thought your dating him was just a stupid phase, but now you're gonna have his baby and marry him. I would have been sorta okay with having his little bastard around if you weren't raising it in my house and racial slur wasn't around anymore. But, Mummy, No buts, young lady. I demand you abort that little word I do not want to use from your belly right now or leave my house at once. Then she turned to me while snapping her fingers and said, and you! I hope you're proud of yourself. I tried to make this family normal, but you wouldn't do as I say like a good son should. And now all my plans are ruined. You're all a bunch of racial slurs. Meanwhile, my sister was on her knees in the grass and holding her belly, crying, I can't. My mother then actually grabbed my sister's hair and was ready to take a swing at her, but one good glare from me and she froze in place and then rigidly lowered her arm. So she just let out a loud growl and stormed back into her house screaming, she's your problem now. I no longer have any children. That night, I put up my sister and her boyfriend in a hotel till a friend of my lawyer that works in real estate helped arrange an apartment for them ASAP. And like I promised, I gave sister's boyfriend a job. He's new and pretty much starting at the bottom rung, but he's a quick learner. It'll take a while, but I'll get him into a good position, and he's very happy to work for me. My sister is now in therapy, paid for by my company's insurance, and has already started to act more mature than I've ever seen her. She stopped referring to our mother as Mummy, and has even started talking about her the way I do. She came to me recently and said she's been working harder now, and told me I was right about her being a spoiled mooch, and she's going to work hard to be a good mother and provider for her child. Her therapist seems to really be doing a great job. As for my mother, well, she actually drove by my house in broad daylight when no one was home and broke several of my front windows with large rocks she had in a metal bucket, and the rocks had racial slurs written all over them. But thanks to those cameras I put in, she was caught pretty easily. I had the footage in police hands that same day. I didn't bother to ask for repayment for the damage she caused. The windows were old anyway, and it just gave me an excuse to remodel, but I hella pressed charges and even got a restraining order. She's not allowed within 500 feet of me or my property. She also took quite the downfall online, as I had a dash cam in my car that picked up everything my mother said and did that evening she kicked my sister out, and this time I did show it to the rest of the family, and my sister also told pretty much the same story on her Facebook. That pretty much destroyed my mother's remaining image to her side of the family, so she's not really speaking much to any of them anymore. My mother didn't lose her job or anything because I didn't go that far. She's not set to retire for another decade or so, but some of her more petty relatives started submitting fake bad reviews for her Airbnb, and now she's probably losing customers. I've heard from one of the few relatives she's still talking to that she's pretty depressed and looks like a shell of her former self now. Ah, how the vile have fallen. Good fucking riddance to that dead shit. I don't know why OP didn't go full scorched earth on his mother and dobbed her into her job. Maybe he already had his fill when he bitch slapped her, or maybe he's just the better person. I'd say that one, what with giving the boyfriend a job and everything. I have to admit, I was surprised by the sister's turnaround. Sounds like she's on her way to a better life. I hope she's able to keep it up and doesn't fall back into old habits. Best of luck to her and everyone else in this story, except the mother. She can go rot. Anyway, we've come to the end of our journey. Thank you for traveling on the Reddit Railway, and a special thanks to London, Brighton, South Coast for making this amazing alternate version of my OC. We hope to see you again soon.